Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is a repeat broadcast. If you already watched me this evening, please, you can give this video a like and click off. I believe that YouTube is suppressing me. I've checked all my internet functions. I had perfectly fast internet, 450 megabytes per second, and they completely blurred out my video. So I'm going to do the news broadcast again. So that those who haven't seen it can watch it. President Joe Biden finally addressed the nation on video for the first time after deciding not to run for a second term. While speaking from the Oval Office, Biden claimed that it was simply time to pass the torch to a new generation and did not mention anything regarding his health. Even though he did not mention having bad health, after watching him, it was obvious this guy has bad mental health. Now, Biden also stated he's the first president to report that America is not at war anywhere in the world. However, people were quick to point out that he was lying. America is heavily involved in the Russia-Ukraine war. America is heavily involved in the Israel-Gaza situation. And we are still at war in Syria. That's why we have troops there. So don't lie to us, Joe Biden. We're smarter than that, and we're smarter than you. Now, a very embarrassing Gallup poll has come out today where President Biden dropped again in his popularity. In total, 36% of Americans approve of Joe Biden, while 58% of Americans disapprove. Based on these lackluster results, it looks like the deep state, Obama, the Democrat Party, has made the right decision to replace failing Joe Biden. Now, this was his worst poll performance to date and was trending lower and lower. Ironically, the most popularly elected president in our country's history is now suddenly the most unpopular candidate. This data is not matching up. And I want you to let me know in the comments down below. Was he, in fact, the most popularly elected president? I'm not buying it. Write yes if you think he was, and I want you to type no if you think he is not very popular. Now, even with a second chance at life, Democrat strategist James Carville warned his party against being overly optimistic. During an interview with MSNBC, he stated, "I understand that people are feeling a lot better and excited, but that excitement's got to be tempered with realism. And the realism is she, Kamala Harris, has a tough campaign to run. And as you say, she's got several things she's got to accomplish. As of right now, she's accomplished nothing. She's completely attached to the border, which is a disaster. It's the number one worry of the American people, and she is the head of the border." Now, among many things Democrats will be watching for is how Harris handles the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. Despite Biden's rhetoric against Benjamin Netanyahu, the war is still ongoing, and Israel's main goal of wiping out Hamas hasn't changed. To those on the left, this is seen as a huge failure. When Netanyahu addressed Congress, Harris did not have the guts or the courage or the respect to show up. She completely sidelined Israel. Unfortunately, nearly half of Democrats also did not show. While some argued Harris's no-show was warranted due to her deep sympathy with Palestine, Republican Senator John Cornyn labeled the move as petty and disrespectful. So Kamala Harris's first event on the world stage regarding foreign policy, she ditches the foreign leader. I hope all Jews are witnessing the behavior of the potential future president of the United States. While it appeared that everyone attended, to those watching at home, Representative AOC stated, "Just so we're clear, Netanyahu has lost so many people that he is addressing just a fraction of Congress. When this happens, they fill the seats with non-members, like what they do at an award ceremony in order to project the appearance of full attendance and support. Now, unlike her events, which the seats are just empty and she leaves them empty, she could probably learn a thing or two about appearance." Now, during his address to Congress, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu attempted to connect with the few members that did show. He claimed that Israel will not stop at anything less than total victory, which he defined as destroying Hamas completely and bringing all hostages home. Both Israel and the United States still have hostages under the control of Hamas. Now, in an attempt to persuade his critics, Netanyahu argued that defeating Hamas and other Iranian proxies is in America's best interest. However, it was very clear that Democrats don't believe anything he's selling. Now, after Netanyahu's address, Democrat Representative Jamie Raskin stated, "We didn't hear anything about meaningful progress towards a bilateral ceasefire in return for hostages. We didn't hear anything about peace." Now, to be fair, Netanyahu likely believes he has more time to defeat Hamas now that he believes Donald Trump will be reelected. This would explain why he seems reinvigorated to continue his mission despite harsh criticism from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. At one time, he was under massive pressure to withdraw from Gaza. But with everything that's been going on, Biden has lost his focus and probably doesn't even remember that there's a war going on. It's just sad how all of the media cycle has to do with Joe Biden and his mental deficiencies. Now, FBI Director Christopher Wray has finally released additional information regarding Trump's shooter. Thomas Crooks, who used a drone and was in possession of explosives, according to Wray, Crooks first used this drone to scout and map out the area 2 hours before Donald Trump took stage. After the shooter was killed, Wray detailed that he had a transmitter in his pocket that he planned to use to explode a van and cause even more bodily harm to people in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now, gratefully, they say that he was out of range, and so that detonation was not able to go off. Thank goodness, right? All right, now I have some big stories, including Donald Trump calling for the head of the FBI to be investigated and fired for his behavior. But first, a word from today's sponsor. If you're a homeowner like me, when's the last time you checked your title of your home? That's the legal document that proves that you own it. If the answer is never, you need to know about a fast-growing scam called house stealing. Now, I was recently given a demonstration of how this scam works, and it shocked me. This is a document right here called a quitclaim deed. It's filled out. It shows I sold my house to a fake person that doesn't exist. My address, my name, and even a fake signature is used. Now, this document then gets stamped with a fake notary seal you can buy off the internet. Then you take it to the county in order to file it, and boom, the name is transferred from yours to somebody else without your knowledge. Now, here's the thing. These scammers don't want your house. They want your house equity. Everyone knows that house values are up, which means you have equity in your house. They then take that equity and they get loans using your home as collateral. They then disappear, leaving you with a financial and legal nightmare. But you can protect yourself from this despicable crime right now with triple lock protection from HomeTitleLock.com. The first step is to check your home title to see if it's still in your name. You can find out now at HomeTitleLock.com. Enter your address and you'll receive a complete title scan to see if you're already a victim. Now, make sure to use promo code Gardner, and this scan and a free 30-day trial of their triple lock title protection are free. The link is below, HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Gardner. Do it today, HomeTitleLock.com. Now, former President Donald Trump has agreed to debate Kamala Harris after she officially becomes the DNC nominee. Right now, Trump says he's not going to waste any time or money on a presumptive nominee. He already wasted a lot of money on Biden. Kamala Harris, however, is refusing to do the debate because Fox News would be the host. She wants ABC News, where Biden gets softball interview questions from people like George Stephanopoulos or nothing. So my guess is that Trump is going to say, listen, let's do a Fox News debate, and we'll also do an ABC debate. But if she throws an absolute baby fit, we all know Trump is courageous. He'll go into ABC. He has no fear of going anywhere for the American people. Also, it's now been proven the White House and the media are working in lockstep to scrub the internet of Kamala Harris being put in charge of the U.S. border invasion. However, everyone already knows this fact, and the Trump re-election team, they've got all the videos and the receipts. And since this is the #1 worry among Americans, you better believe that Trump is going to be pushing this failure as hard as humanly possible. She has absolutely failed us on the border. Over 10 million people have invaded our country. It's a real shame. Now, while Trump is meeting with foreign leaders and working to end the Russia-Ukraine war and devise a plan to help keep Israel safe, Kamala Harris is going on RuPaul's Drag Queen drag racing show, telling LGBTQ 2SA plus community members to vote for her or else. That's like saying, if you don't vote Democrat, then you ain't trans. These Dems are so weird. Like, they tell us that we're the racists, that we're the ones that have a problem, that we hate gay people, and yet they're the ones that are hyper-focused on skin color and sexual orientation. Almost all the gay people I know, being gay is the least interesting thing about them. So these Democrats are just crazy. All right, now 61% of Americans now say the United States of America is in more danger now that the truth about Joe Biden's mental decline has been leaked. Let me know in the comments, do you feel safer or less safe with 100% proof that Biden is mentally unwell? I want you to type M for more safe and L for less safe. Me personally, I feel less safe. You think our enemies aren't going, wait a minute, the sitting president of the United States is mentally unqualified to lead the military and the country? This might be a good time to do something against America. All right, now, speaking of mental decline, President Donald Trump is calling for the resignation of FBI head Christopher Wray. Now that it's come out, Mr. Wray was a firsthand witness to Biden's mental decline and said nothing. The head of the FBI knew that Biden was mentally unwell. He knew that Biden was incapable of running the country. He swore an oath that his duty was to protect the United States. And yet he knew and covered it up. He and Kamala Harris have conspired to mislead the American people. This is bad, bad, bad. All right, now I want to show you a viral video where Representative Matt Gaetz is questioning FBI Director Christopher Wray. He starts off with the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, and then boom, he switches gears into the conspiracy that he and Kamala Harris purposely misled the American people, and watch just how dumbfounded he becomes.
Was the shooter on the FBI's radar in any way prior to the assassination attempt?
We did not have any information about the shooter. He was not in our holdings before the shooting.
No communication in any chat rooms, no CIs or confidential human sources have any interaction with?
No, we've run a thorough search for the subject through all of our holdings, and he was not in them anywhere.
Were there any FBI agents or informants present at the Trump rally in Butler?
Not to my knowledge.
And Mr. Jordan was talking to you about Iran. Were law enforcement resources diverted from the protection of President Trump to John Bolton as a consequence of concern that Mr. Bolton might have been the target of Iranian malign efforts?
That's really a Secret Service decision. I don't know the answer to that. That's really something they would know better. What I can tell you is that There are a number of individuals. You mentioned one who we've brought a case, a specific criminal case for the Iranians targeting for assassination. But how the
are you going to get that answer to us? Whether or not resources were diverted from Trump to Bolton? Is that just going to be part of your review?
I think that's going to be part of the reviews by the inspector general.
Okay, so in addition to taking people off of Donald Trump and shifting them over to Jill Biden, we're now finding out they took people off of Donald Trump to put them over on John Bolton. Like, what the heck is going on? Who is John Bolton compared to a former president of the United States?
General for DHS, right?
Of DHS, right. and the outside panel.
And I think that's an important point, because the Inspector General for DHS has really fallen out of favor with the administration, because he's been pointing out all the problems on the border with Mayorkas and Biden, and we're always kind of worried that they're about to fire him, which would be a really bad idea now that this role that you've identified is so critical. Be a bad idea to fire the IG for DHS during the pendency of this, right, Mr. Director?
I don't think that would be a good idea.
I'm with you on that. So I want to zoom out a little bit. How often do you brief President Biden?
You mean on this specific case?
No, in your role as FBI director.
I mean, I don't know that I could give you a number.
Is it like weekly, monthly, daily?
It's not at a regular cadence. There have been times when there have been months at a time when I haven't, and then there have been times when several days apart I have. Okay. It's always with other people.
The vice president, is she typically there?
Often has been.
Okay, so when did you notice his decline?
In my interactions, in my role, all my interactions with the current president have been completely professional.
Right, but I mean the cognitive decline. I'm not saying he treated you unprofessionally, just maybe not picking things up as quickly as he used to.
Again, I don't meet with him very often, but what you're describing is not something that I've observed during my interactions with him.
I mean, we've had it observed so often that the ranking member and Mr. Schiff on this committee have said that he could no longer continue as a candidate. And so, since you're the FBI director, I was just sort of wondering, like, who's running the country?
Top Democrats could see that Biden is mentally deficient, and you're telling me the head of the FBI, while meeting with him, couldn't pick up on it? Either he's lying or he is completely, like, not paying attention.
Like if something bad happened, you'd have to go brief President Biden about it right now? God forbid?
And on any number of occasions, I have briefed the president, and as I said, those briefings have all been uneventful and unremarkable.
Oh, I can imagine them being uneventful. But in the work where the vice president's also present, like you say, there's like more than half the time there's these briefings, she's there too?
I don't know if I'd said more than half the time. Certainly, there have been times where she's been present. There have been other times where she hasn't.
I take you at your word when you say this is the most complicated threat environment you've ever observed over a long career in law enforcement. And I'm just kind of wondering, with this assassination attempt, with the invasion at our border, with all the Hamas that have been let in that you've talked about and briefed about, like, is Biden up to it? And if he's not up to it, and you're a guy who's been regularly briefing him, like, who's been in on this conspiracy to hide the real Joe Biden from all of us for years?
Wow. Such a great question. Did you see how he set that entire thing up? He has backed Christopher Wray into a corner. Everyone in the room, everyone watching this now knows that the FBI director who swore an oath to protect the United States knew for a fact that Joe Biden was not up to the task of running the country, protecting the border, protecting the United States, running the military. Like, this looks really bad. Did you hear everyone laugh in the room? This is bad. And he's saying, like, we all know that Joe Biden is deficient right now. Like, who would you go brief? This guy needs to be removed from office.
It never occurred to you that this guy wasn't up to it in all these briefings you did?
As I said, my briefings with the president have all been completely fine.
Were they
I
between
briefed,
10 a.m. and
he's
4
asked
p.m.?
questions. There hasn't been anything of note in the area that you're talking about.
Yeah, did you ever have to brief him before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m.? We hear those are as good hours.
I've certainly times that I have briefed have included outside those hours.
Right. Okay. I just, I think the American people want to know how we got to this point with someone who's so diminished his own party has basically put him out to pasture. And since you had close proximity and the vice president had close proximity, I'm just kind of wondering if you were being straight with all of us about how things were going with him. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
You can count on me to be straight with you, sir.
We'll see.
Wow, wow, wow. That was a masterclass in how to handle somebody. I think Christopher Wray was caught off guard by Matt Gaetz' calmness and professionalism, and then boom, he went right for the jugular vein. How did you not notice or do anything? How did you and Kamala Harris keep quiet on the fact that the sitting president of the United States was mentally unwell? Like, wow, I can see why this video went viral, and that's why I wanted to share it with you. You can also see why Trump is calling for Christopher Wray to be investigated and fired. He said, how could the head of the FBI not inform the American people that the sitting president was in mental decline and unable to lead the nation? Trump makes a very good point. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, in some interesting but non-political news, Tucker Carlson's interview show has now surpassed Joe Rogan to become the biggest podcast in the world. I look forward to many more years of Tucker Carlson's interviews, exposing the government, exposing the truth. I think he's a real American gem. All right, now, the new information confirms two things. One is that the Secret Service failed to identify a drone flying over the Trump rally. The other is that Thomas Matthew Crooks clearly had additional plans but failed to carry them out. When drones are flown into airspace without permission, usually that attracts the police. However, it seems like nobody did anything. This guy was literally flying a drone at a presidential rally, unmolested, unbothered, for enough time to map out the entire area and select the area he was going to take shots from. And to make matters worse, the Washington Post has reported that the Secret Service is pushing Trump to now hold all of his rallies indoors. They say, we cannot protect you, and so therefore everything must be done indoors. So what they've really done is they've just hampered Donald Trump, because this guy pulls numbers to rallies like no one we've ever seen in American history. And now they're saying you can't do anymore. We literally don't have the ability to protect the protectee. So sad. All right, now speaking of the shooting, Trump has finally commented on if the experience made him a nicer person, like some of us have assumed. During a recent rally, Trump stated, I was supposed to be nice. They said something happened to me when I got shot. I became nice. But when you're dealing with these people, they're very dangerous. You really can't be too nice. If you don't mind, I'm not going to be nice. Now, the crowd erupted in laughter and cheers and chanting. They don't want a nice guy. They want somebody who's going to be strong and bold. I mean, just think about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Who's more bold? Who's stronger? Who do you trust to protect us, get us out of war, and keep us out of war? For me, that person is Donald J. Trump. It is not Biden. Biden is mentally weak, and so is Kamala Harris. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to do this news broadcast again. It was really important news. I don't know why YouTube decided to make this blurry. That's very disappointing. They're probably trying to keep you from hearing the truth. Anyway, I have ultra fast internet, and I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. If I could ask a favor, please give this video a like, because it really helps me by telling the YouTube algorithm to share this with more people. And so I would really, really appreciate that. Hey, I love you guys so much. Thank you. And I will see you on the next video.